Well, Richard, good. It's good to see you. I'm actually going to take my mask off, if that's okay, for a second, because one of the things we are opening up the church for Holy Week for individual prayer. The building's been closed for a few months, and in the same way of sort of taking my mask off, the building's opening out, but we're still being really safe in the way we're opening up. And this church has been here a long time as heart of the community, and just want to allow this space to be open so that people can come in and use this as a reflective space at this time.
Well, we are socially distanced, and I'm standing quite a way away from you, and I have a face mask on. Do you know, I've lived in Bath now for 10 years, and coming across St Micheal without solved a mystery for me. When I was much younger, as a choir boy, Easter weekend we sang the hymn, "There was a green hill far away without a city wall," and I always thought that meant it was a green hill and there wasn't a city wall around it. But St Michael's without means something else, doesn't it?
It does. Well, there's been a church on this site since 1180. So when that church was built, the original one, there was a city wall around Bath. And so the positioning of St Michael's was just outside the north gate of the city, or put it another way, without or outside the city wall. That's how it picks up its name. And, for those who want to go on a good hunt, there's also a St Michael's within in Bath, but that's for other people to discover where that is. Yeah.
Including me when I get home. I'll have to look that one up. Now look, these days, this church serves many other community purposes other than a house of prayer. I mean, you've had everything here, from concerts to AA meetings. You've had open mic nights. You had some of the country's top chefs here. How important is it that the church is seen as more than just a house of prayer within the community?
Well, since 1180, there's been a Christian community here that's been the core of everything we do. The road alongside the church is part of the old Foss Way. That's Walcott Street, and our positioning as a way into the city and the road out of the city. We've been here for travellers, we've been for people coming into the city, for visitors, maybe for people that don't quite make it into the city, who stay outside the wall. And we've always wanted to be at the heart of the community, and our expression of our Christian faith is worked out through how we allow the building to be used. Of course, prayer and worship are at the heart of what we do, but then it's a gathering place. It's a place of connectiveness, doing our part to try and, in his way, be the glue for the local community. That's why we allow so many different activities. All of them, there's a seam of gold that runs through all of them. In a sense, it's about connectiveness, connecting people, and some of the things you've just mentioned about creativity and expression. Music, art, culture, times of quiet, times of noise. When our cafe's opening, we can't open that at the moment until May, but again, that allows people to come into the space, so for friendship and for fellowship together, and for deepening contact. That's what we're about.
It's been a tough year for everyone, and of course the church had a long period where you were completely closed to prayer, but that didn't mean the church wasn't being used, did it?
Not at all. And I suppose the expression I'd say that although we were limited on site, it didn't limit us what we were doing online, because we've kept on connecting to people. So we've done a Zoom gathering every Sunday, and we've kept connected to people through regular emails, through the website, through Twitter, Facebook, and things like that. Actually, the congregation from that point of view has grown. We're regularly communicating out to several hundred people every week. The opportunity we've got now is we can go back on site, as it were, to open the building. We're not going to actually let go of the online because we're connecting to people in a different and new way. So in this new season, we're going to be doing both on site and see how we can open the building out, and continuing online as well.
That closed period when the building itself was closed, you still had something going on here?
Well, we did. We were allowed under the rules to have support groups here, so it was very important for us to allow the AA group to keep meeting here. That's important for their connectiveness. And there was also a short period of time when we let an organisation come here to make PPE equipment. It was actually masks. And again, that was our little contribution in a way to facilitate and allow the space to be used for the general well-being of the population and the community. And as we all, when people come to us with requests where we can help, we will.
Now, Mark is officially known as your artist in residence. I'm going to be talking to him just shortly after you, but an artist in residence seems to suggest that the visual image is still very much important these days. One thinks of medieval times when ordinary folk couldn't read or write, so they got their stories from the stained glass windows. But we are still using the visual medium.
There we are. Mark's a lovely person, a representative really in the congregation. We've got a lot of creatives, and it's lovely with Mark, being able to say, look, Mark, use this place for inspiration. Come into this space to create, and which he's done and does, and then the Stations of the Cross he's created as part of that. And as you say, in terms of the graphic images and pictures, maybe even now we've gone full circle, because there's a lot of graphics and pictures that we're used to now in social media, often for small snapshots, and they communicate a lot. A picture paints 1,000 words, if I remember that quote, and it does in many ways. And that people, in seeing these pictures, just coming into this space in quiet, in reflection, and then just looking at the pictures and using those as a stepping off place, just to let the mind run, and with your thoughts, and then from our Christian community point of view, then using that as an inspiration to pray.
Mark, I looked you up on LinkedIn, and you describe yourself as a primary school teacher and a cartoonist. Which came first?
The cartooning came first. I've always, even as a small child, I was a consummate doodler, drawing pretty much 24/7 if I could, when I wasn't playing outside. Because being a small boy in the 60s, 70s, that's your natural environment, was to play outside. So on rainy days, big sheets of wallpaper, usually the Battle of Culloden for some strange reason, but yeah, drawing away. So cartoonist first, and then I was a primary educator for best part of 30 years.
How did you get involved in this project here at St Michael's?
Okay, so this project, I had a phone call about a month ago. I'm sort of the artist in residence here. Roger inherited me from the previous rector, and it's just kind of carried on. So on a Sunday morning, back in real life, I used to run a sort of art table for people to respond to the service visually. So providing them with crayons and charcoal and stuff like that, so people could pastels, people could draw along. And yeah, so I had a phone call about a month ago. I was out on my exercise, just about to walk up a big hill, so I was quite grateful to take the call. And it was Caroline, the curate, saying, could they use the images that they'd used the year before in the first lockdown for the Good Friday service, and they'd use some of my images to go with some Bible readings and reflections. And I said that'd be absolutely fine, except the images were only postcard sized, and what they wanted them was to be big enough to put on a church pillar and for people to see. So I repainted those tiny images a little bit bigger.
What was your creative thought process behind all of this? I mean, everything's pretty well black and white. Are those the colours you would normally use?
Well, yeah, the cartoonist tends to be a lot of black and white. I do paint in colour. I remember when I kind of wanted like black and white photography, sort of news photography type thing, and I wanted sort of trying to capture that sort of moment, which is why they're quite sort of unfinished. I wanted them to sort of be sort of like reportage pieces that have been done, not on the spot, but at the time. So yes, that's why the strong blacks and bright whites.
your academic background is science. I'm just wondering how, as a Christian, you marry that with God, the Creator.
Yeah, I was a biologist as well, so it was a bit of I can't think. I read it somewhere that someone said if you take a sort of small sip of science, you sort of go atheist. But as you drink deeper, as you go further into it, there is a sort of sense of faith that can come out of it. So I did my biology because I just loved. It was the whole being outside. I really love sort of field work and stuff. So I really enjoyed that part of the course. And also I think faith needs to be questioned. Although I'm Christian, I would say I'm probably more sort of agnostic. There are days when I believe 6 impossible things before breakfast, but they're very rare. Most days, it is a struggle, and I think that's why I guess the Stations of the Cross, it's kind of like the way of struggle, appealed to me as a sort of set of images.
As a subject.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's right.